Ah, good morning, dear friends. Sound okay? Yay. In the ongoing saga, I found an update to a couple of the drivers. So, we'll see. It is the 22nd day of February, 2025. No, I don't think it's been that long yet, but I hope to still be here in 2025. So,
sound is a little low, Robert.
a little low. Let me try fixing that if I can. How about that, Jim? Oh, that's a bit crinkled. Hang on.
Too much.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
That's good?
Better.
Okay. It's hard to keep close enough to the microphone. They want you to be right here, and it's a bit much. All the people you see on the TV with the microphone right up against them, that's because that's where the mic works best. But all right, how about that? It's about as
Good.
much as I can put into it. All right, well, it's going to be a very rainy day here today. They're calling it the Pineapple Express. Rain coming onto us from Hawaii. So, we get another day. Another day to be awake, to encounter the hindrances, and to be shaping our consciousness and therefore our destiny. Shaping the consciousness. So I have a favorite old poem here. When I left Montreal, I was 21 when I left Montreal. I signed onto a ship that was going to Australia as a mess boy. And I took one book with me, which was the collected works of Robert Frost. And this was an important poem at that time, now 50 years ago. More than 50, 52, 53 years ago. You'll recognize it. The Road Not Taken. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. And sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had warned them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I marked the first for another day. Yet, knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim. Goodness. Having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for the passing there the passing there had warned them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I marked the first for another day, yet knowing how Whaley's underway, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. Isn't that something? I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. The Buddha spoke about taking the path of the Dharma as going against the stream. Going against the stream, experiencing willingly the challenge of doing something different, of setting a new course. Jim, will you give me a sound check on this again? How's that sounding guitar-wise? You're muted.
I'm having trouble with my heater making so much noise. I don't know whether anybody else is having trouble hearing it. It's very soft.
Adequate. Of course, my voice is totally dysfunctional. Maybe we'll be just fine. Oh well. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. And what might it mean to really take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha? Really? What might it mean today? Is there anything overt that would be different? Maybe not. What would it mean to be more mindful, to be more present, to be more compassionate? Or simply to just be awake? What would it mean to accept ourselves exactly as we are? So let us sit in our familiar, comfortable fashion. This moment is exactly as it is. The body is sitting like this. The sensations in the hands are exactly as they are. Why not embrace them fully? For this few minutes, how would it be to truly relinquish everything? To just let go of things, to let go of the to-do list. The life in the face is just like it is. And the breathing, this ancient ever since the beginning of this lifetime, or at least this lifetime that began with birth, there's the breath. Bears breathe. Whales breathe. Dogs and cats breathe. We share this world with many breathers. Let us bring to the breath love and compassion, gratitude, present with the birth of the breath. Present embracing the rising to fullness. The decline away from fullness to the end. There is much more to us than breathing, of course. There's all the feelings, the Vedana, the liking and disliking, the pleasant and unpleasant. And there are all the phenomena that happen in the mind, all the mental states. Contracted, expanded, filled with love, filled with not love, colored by hatred, colored by non-hatred, filled with conversations and silent. Every single part of it is that which we embrace. And somehow it is in embracing that we are capable of letting go. there is often an oscillation or a pattern of becoming lost in wandering mind of some kind, in desire or aversion, in restless, agitated worrying perhaps, or obsessing. Or sleepy dullness, or doubt. Sometimes there are waves of emotions, sometimes they overtake us. And then mysteriously, awareness illuminates them, and that which a moment before we were convinced to be reality is seen, known as a dream, as a fantasy. Moment by moment awakening from the dreams of our prior conditioning. And we discover ourselves right here. Right here on the chosen path. Participating in the awakening. We might continue to use in-breathing and out-breathing as our home base, as our guardrail. We may also expand that home base to include the entirety of the body. Which would mean to notice the aliveness in the hands, the fingers and thumbs. To notice the pressure where the body meets the chair. The life in the feet. The temperatures in the body. The feet here are a little cold. To notice all the life that exists contained in the pelvis. The organs deep inside. In the chest. The life of the face. Or perhaps the entirety of this body in its aliveness, in its breathingness. And so when we come home, when we awaken in the midst of a wandering mind, we come home to the entirety, to the sittingness. There may be times when it's quite easy to do this awareness of the whole body. Other times when finding the breath is itself a monumental achievement. Remarkably, there really is nothing ultimately for us to do. We use words and describe these strategies, but they're attempting to point at simply being present. When there are emotions present, there are emotions. When the mind rests easily in the breath or the body, there's concentration. When that capacity of knowing and aware awakeness occurs, mindfulness is present. When somehow everything is acceptable, love is present. When love meets pain and suffering and doesn't flinch, but opens, compassion is present. The choice of the road to take and not take actually happens in every moment. It's not a once or a 10 times in a lifetime decision, it's now. Observing how awakening occurs in the midst of wandering minds. In the middle of fear, in the middle of sadness. In the middle of confidence. In the middle of confusion. Awake. This moment is exactly as it is. in accepting the life of this moment. We are love itself. It is like this. And reflecting upon that part of yourself, which is really part of the whole, the part of you that longs to be happy and content, that longs to feel safe, at ease, capable of tolerating any difficulties that come along. Might there be words for that? It could be the I love you mantra with your name at the end. Or it could be simply a great sigh. Ah, things are as they are. It could be some visualization. The garden of the flowers of your fine karma of the past. It could be just this, being present with yourself. And now, remembering this, please bring awareness into the eyes, into the face, into the hands, and back to the eyes, and making that intention to let the eyes open. And it's quite a lot of energizing that's required for that, isn't it? There's a plan, and then there's letting the eyes open. And let's bring the eyes open with that same wish, longing, reality for those people who you meet on your screen here. Everyone here really wants the same thing. Remember Marshall Rosenberg so many times saying, any human need is a universal need. But how would it be to meet, find someone you've never really noticed before? Wish them well. It's so easy, isn't it? It's so easy. Excuse me just a moment. I have a little white dog who has come to the door again. All right. Come on in. Come on. Good boy. Hi. Yes. He goes to his spot. A little 15-year-old dog that's pretty stiff. He has a nice little memory foam bed. Upper middle way for dogs. He also gets a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory in the morning and the evening. So friends, dear Dharma, beautiful Dharma friends, my goodness. Wow. I don't really have an announcement this morning other than let's just be mindful today. Let's just be really kind. I just had an image of Ruth saying, darling, enjoy the beauty of your being. She'd often say that when parting. Enjoy the beauty of your being. So you may face a day that's going to be very easy or one that's going to be very challenging. You might be full of emotions right now or very spacious and just wisely open. Who knows? It'll all be different. It'll really be different than we anticipate, for sure, or likely. So let's form the intention to meet each other in as much love as we can. So I think I'd like to open the door to anything you'd like to share or question or celebrate or grieve, I suppose. Why not?
Hi, Robert. It's Catherine.
Hello, Catherine.
Just want to say hello to everybody. I had no power for 7 days, and I really missed meeting with the group. I really missed it a lot. So it's so good to be back. And I got very tired of the cold. That was the other thing. But it's very good to be back.
Were you totally without heat, like no fireplace, no nothing?
Yeah. Oh, I had a fireplace. I have a fireplace.
But they suck heat, don't they, really?
Yeah, kind of. It wasn't, we could gather around the fireplace and keep our feet and hands warm. It was it was intense. But and I wanted to say too, it was on the heels, my mother did pass away, and it was right on the heels of that. And it was like the world was asking me to get quieter and quieter, and to just kind of look, maybe just look inside deeper and deeper. But it feels very nice to be back. But her death was really beautiful, actually. It took her about 3 days of the active process, and my brother and sister and I were there with her. And you said that there would be guests, and I immediately saw at least one was that she just seemed to start laying down or setting aside all of her, all of the stories and all of the and who she really was started to really come out fully. And there was such intense love. And it was really beautiful. It was a very beautiful experience. Yeah. And I remember as a child, I loved my mother very deeply. And then as I got older, there was more and more tension. And I thought, well, was I making that up? Did I really, was mom, And then at the end, it was like, oh my gosh, yeah, there she was again. the woman I remember from being a child. And I just felt intensely loved and appreciated. And so it was a very healing experience, actually. But I know there's a lot more, there's still a lot more to go through. So anyway, that's been my, and I've missed my community, so it's very nice to be back.
Thank you very much for sharing that beautiful story.
Yeah, thank you.
I just got a glimpse of the potency. It's an imagination, but the potency of a sharing like that you just did, Catherine, that many people have never been near a death, a human death, or any other death maybe, and to frame it as you did, as an important human experience and a loving and creating more love, that could probably will change the way someone, maybe several, maybe a bunch of us here this morning will face the next death we get to be part of. Maybe we'll turn toward it and get close and stay home from work and make time because it takes the fear out of it, for one thing. So it's this sharing of this kind of thing is so beautiful and important for us.
Robert.
There's John. Hello, John.
I always know when I should come here because I don't want to come.
Yeah.
So a couple of people wrote to me and just wanted to thank them. I just wanted to share a little grief. It's a story, but I left home when I was 10 and went to live in a boarding school. And this morning I was just reliving the experience of saying goodbye to your mother at a young age, and it never leaves, I think. And it was just good to have that grief be felt in the community and shared. And so much shame at that age to shut down vulnerability, to survive and to be accepted by other young boys that were also all leaving home. And
Wow.
I am always looking for home. Yeah. So just good to have that little boy, like his grief be seen and changes you. So thanks everybody for just witnessing.
"10 years old.
You learn how to become really independent really fast.
In my experience, those early wounds, don't go away. However, they do become a focus for a lot of love and compassion, and they are the part of they can turn into the gift of this lifetime in terms of developing compassion for oneself and others. Yeah. Looking for home. I think you've got lots of company here looking for home.
Robert and
Miss-
Sangha,
Miss-
I'd like to just join into that. It's, witnessing, we shared with John. My father died when I was 10, and about 40 years ago, I was part of a spiritual community, and I suddenly found myself with two new friends who had lost their one or the other parent when they were 10. And the three of us discovering one another and talking about that shame and vulnerability and being different from other people, and somehow I was in my home, but I was away from home without him, and they talked about the same thing. So it was such a bizarre experience to suddenly break out of that self engagement and realize, this is a universal process. All across the world, there are 10-year-olds who are being wounded, and so I just want to open up to a witness of all of those people today. Thank you.
I think I just had a thought something might be useful would be if abandonment, the experience of abandonment, is a significant part of your personality, please raise your hand. Maybe wave them around a little bit so we notice them. So that's a good chunk of us. There are lots of wounds in childhood by abandonment, and neglect is part of that. And then there's also intrusion, sometimes when our boundaries weren't respected. And you can have it all, of course. Yeah. There's something to work with, isn't there? Our personality. What a trip to get to be able to gather like this over the internet. Who would have thunk it? Valerie, is your hand raised intentionally? Nope.
When you ask the question, since I'm not on camera, I raised my hand.
I see. Oh, how sensible. Good, thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to share since you called my name because I wanted to share, but my parents divorced when I was 10. And I was, on one hand, immensely sad, and on the other hand, immensely relieved, because my dad was an alcoholic and often verbally and sometimes physically abusive to many in my household. But there was that feeling of abandonment and that really strange mixture of relief. And they ultimately got back together, and I have to say I wasn't happy about it when he was coming back. He had changed for the better in a lot of ways, but he was still the person I knew him to be. And it was just interesting that people are commenting on that age.
Yeah.
Robert.
The dulcet tones of Tim. At last you're speaking.
I want to say thank you for that. To the song, to y'all for this. This has been real cathartic morning. And I also have a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 9-year-old, I think. I didn't lose a parent, but I lost my home. We were farmers. And when you're a farm kid, you have the assumption of that you're going to be the farmer someday, that you get this piece of land. And we lost the farm and had to go to town, which to me was an impoverishment. I'd been raised to think town people were kind of messed up because they were all crowded together and stuff. But to have lost that legacy, or whatever you call it, but a wound on me that I've never gotten over. I've got perspective on it, but it, like you said, that stuff will go away. So it's a different.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to say I feel you that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. I lived through the other end of this experience when my children were 12 and 8.5. My then wife, their mother, decided that we were going to have a divorce, and it was a good thing in retrospect. But I didn't want it. And it wound up being very ugly. We had a custody battle, and I was aware at the time that it was really hurting the kids, and it did. It did. It's given them grist for the mill of their own work and adulthood, But the truth of anicca and instability and beginnings and endings, it makes the Dharma even more precious to me. There's just no telling when things are going to change shape and form, and it's a pretty powerful life raft. To have the tools to turn whatever comes our way into awakening. Oh, little dog. Pretty good fortune. Hey, come here. Come here. Come here. Oh, come on. Oh. Yeah, there he is. Here's Budo. There he is. Oh, hang on. There you go. You can't see the people, I know, but they can see you. This is weird, isn't it? He doesn't like being held. Good boy. All right. Down you go. Oh, that was exciting, wasn't it?
Good morning, Robert.
Darcy.
Hi.
Hi. Did you have a nice walk? I enjoyed watching you outdoors.
I did. I had a wonderful walking meditation. Trying to be mindful of stop signs and traffic.
Good idea.
I had a question. Looking for a little guidance. You talking about this being like a great raft to help you through changes and beginnings and endings and all that. And I've been trying really hard to wish somebody well, send somebody love in my meditations, and I find that I don't mean it, and I want to mean it. I'm here in Canada. I haven't seen my family in over a year. The border's closed. I'm about to take my nursing exam, and I'm stuck being roommates with somebody who is an ex. And that's kind of why I go out for those walks in the mornings, because being in the same house is difficult. And I realize that when I'm trying to hold him in a loving space, because I don't wish him harm, I'm actually doing it because I want peace for me. So my intentions aren't really that clean. And then when I think about sending him love, all I want him to do is, this is going to make me sound so immature, but I just, like, my childish instinct is I want him to suffer like I do. And I know I really don't mean that, but I'm finding it really hard to speak in love without being selfish, without it having, like, so that I can live peacefully here. I want it to be genuine. I want to find the way to send it to him and mean it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we sure are pulling the covers back on deep truth and honesty this morning, aren't we? It's funny, I don't often quote my father. He was a man of very few words. One time in a very poignant moment, my father was an alcoholic. When I got married to my first wife, the mother of my kids, my mother, really didn't want my father to come to the wedding. And I didn't invite him. It was bad. And anyway, she came. The wedding happened. We went out. It was the craziest thing. We went out to see the play Equus, which is a very dark play, on the night of the wedding. I mean, absurd. But and then as I was late, and I was going to go to bed soon, and I realized, oh God, I didn't call my father. And I called him. It was like 1:00 in the morning in Montreal. And he said, oh, I thought you'd forgotten. Pooh. Of course, I had forgotten. But I did remember. But in that brief conversation, he said, we do the best we are. We do the best we are. And I would guess, Darcy, that there are significant needs of yours for safety and affection and appreciation and all kinds of things that really aren't being very well met right now. And you're kind of starving, probably.
Yeah.
And so you're not in your most fluent bodhisattva capacity. You're really, there's some ways you're struggling for survival and facing nursing exams as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
perhaps that you're asking for a bit much. And maybe acknowledging the complexity of it, the difficulty of it, and loving yourself the fact that you want that is so admirable and amazing. And that you're doing the best you are. You know?
Yeah, from experience, I know that with time, that comes, like thinking about past relationships. Mm-hmm. I really do wish them well. And I think you're right. I think the wound might be too fresh, but I want to put myself on the right path sooner than I did in those other experiences.
Well, I think, there's the theme that I find myself coming back to both in my own life and in this kind of interaction is we've got to love ourselves as we are. I mean, the path leads right through the heart and through... The mind is so crazy. Do you know the Popeye mantra?
I do.
I am what...
The cartoon? Yeah.
The mantra is that I am what I am.
Okay.
And you have a certain capacity of open-heartedness now, and that's what you got.
Okay.
And it'll wax.
I like that.
I'll bet if you went and did a 10-day retreat, or how about this, a nice 10-day vacation on Rarotonga in the South Pacific, and do you like the ocean? Are you an ocean person? So, you've got your own little house, and you've got nice, incredible meals just exactly as you want, and enough people to meditate with, and there's a yoga teacher, and there's nice music if you want that, or there's just time on the beach. I would bet after 10 days of that, you'd feel quite loving toward this fellow you're sharing a house with.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. So we have design limits and capacities, and to be very merciful with yourself.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
When are your exams?
In June.
June. Where are we now? I see.
Yeah. Yep.
Huh. And where in Canada are you?
I'm in Delta, just south of Vancouver.
Just south of Vancouver. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I sure hope the border opens soon.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. I have a retreat planned, scheduled at Hollyhock in September. I don't know if that'll come off, but it's scheduled. Thanks for sharing, Darcy.
Thank you.
Well, it's almost 8:15. What a wonderful time. Whew. What a wonderful moment. Oh, Leanne made a nice posting. For me, it's very helpful to frame it, quote, something in me wishes him well, and something in me struggles to wish him well. For me, it's important to honor both as true and possible to coexist. Yeah. Well put. Paradoxes. Well, shall we sing our way home? Anybody sitting with something you'd like to share before we do move on? Okay, please unmute yourself if you wish. Actually, before we do that, I'd like to I have a little superstition here, but I'm going to say it anyway. I had the camera on. The system is set in the way it needs to be set, and it did not crash this whole hour and 15 minutes. Maybe this super duper new computer is actually going to work now. We'll see. So please, says the computer, please unmute and let's sing our way out of here. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Sangha.
Bye.
A blessing.
Bye, Francine.
Thank you.
Bye, sweetie pie.
All of you,
Bye, Alicia.
Becca, and Linda, and Steffi, and all, Alicia.
Bye, Francine.
Thanks for the sunshine, Francine.
Oh, well, it'll be a rainy day, I hear. Yeah.
Pineapple Express.
Stay well.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Hey, Alicia.
See you tomorrow.
This little house is so cool. It's so wonderful. I actually, just a couple of days ago, I did some research online, and I found an industrial strength thermostat that goes between the plug and these electric heaters, so it can actually stay stable. Because the thermostats on these little heaters are so unstable. So I'm going to set it at 68 or something, and it'll be just nice.
Oh, that's wonderful.
As it is, it's pretty darn fine. You know, I can. Oh no, I'm too hot sometimes.
Burnishing. You're just burnishing now.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's really a beautiful thing. I delight in it every time I come out here.
We're so lucky.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone on Facebook and YouTube.